Okay. Okay, doke. Okay, doke. I'm dying from COVID already. I'm dying. All right. Local constant not found. A local constant not found. What is up? People. AOC is streaming with 400K viewers. I bet she is saying something very intelligent. Oh, I gotta get my mouse out. What am I doing? How am I going to program without a mouse? It does not make sense. I also can get my Starbucks Marshmallow Dream Snack out. I'm eating so much fruit tonight. Gonna be so healthy from all this fruit. All right. Oh, we don't want code view right globals. What do we want? We want this. Line 1066. Actually, line 33. And let's thin this out a little bit. Let's get rid of math. Get rid of some of these things we don't need. Why is it so unnecessarily complicated to compile and debug C++ without an IDE? I mean, it's not. Complicated compared to what? Okay. We'll do code view write function at line 32. He said unnecessarily complicated. Well, I mean, the compiling part is the most complicated part. What is going on? Oh, I didn't put -x64, guys. Oh, wait, did I? Oh, I didn't put the file. I mean, why is it unnecessarily complicated? Because nobody in the process of designing these things took simplicity seriously or took the cost of complexity seriously. That's ultimately the reason. There are lots of proximal reasons. And there's other stuff like, you know, debugging on open source operating systems sucks ass. Why? Because there's already kind of GDB, and that was fine. So people just, it's like, you know, people just use that or make a front end to it. And then that wasn't good enough, right? Because of like factional issues or GDB people being lazy. So then someone came along and made LLDB, but it has no vision or imagination. It's just literally the same thing as GDB, but different, right? But somebody else has control over it. There's no imagination. There's no drive. So, you know, George comes along and just makes a GUI debugger that's better, right? One guy made something that's better than what the entire open source movement produced over decades. Why? If you answer that question, you know how to fix some serious problems. Dude, my program has so many things. We're just gonna everything here. There we go. Why? What is happening? Oh, we're using the L. What? Oh, because it's not the game. Okay, guys. We're getting there. I need to fix that. We're getting there. Basically, nothing has happened on the stream yet. Yeah, everything is not only a GUI to GDB, everything is a bad GUI to GDB. Right? And in part, they're gimped to being a bad GUI to GDB because the interface to GDB is not the right interface because it's designed using the Unix philosophy. All right. So like it's a disaster all around. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, this is string builder. Wait, what? Why is this so hard? Line 35. I guess there's a lot at line. What is going on? Why is line 45 of string builder giving me things from line 30? What? Free buffers. String build. But wait, what? What is even happening? Okay. I feel like we're on the border of an insane discovery of something that's been wrong for a long time. Wait, no? Oh, because we're using... that's actually correct. Never mind. Never mind. Boy, I sure wish I could just drag this down by 2. Can't I, like... I don't know. I don't know how to do it. There's some way to do it. Used to just be able to drag it a long time ago. It's so stupid. Okay, better. What's wrong with the Unix philosophy? You don't want all your programs to talk back and forth with strings in an unstructured pipe. That's garbage that leads to all the same kind of type errors as using a language like JavaScript or Tcl. It's the operating system version of that. And that's part 1. And then part 2 is you don't want to build things out of a bunch of loosely coupled things that don't really understand what each other is, because the way that you build tightly functioning serious products that are robust and fast is by knowing what everything is. So this idea that you're supposed to make big things by coupling a bunch of components, it's wrong. It was maybe a little bit okay for 1970 when we were first booting up computers. It's not okay now. GDP works as such. Right, but the problem is that everybody in the open source world is taking a massive productivity hit for decades on end because GDB is so bad. All right, that's the problem. I mean, sure, it's a functional command line debugger, but that's not the point. It has a linkable library. It didn't used to. Nobody uses it. Well, there you go. All right. Am I finally where I wanted to be? Yes, okay. Here's our declaration. It is constant. Certainly not polymorphic. So we're actually writing this out. And we probably have the type, right? Yep. There we go. This used to work. I don't know why it doesn't work anymore. We're actually outputting the thing. Oh, you know, it might work in Visual Studio, honestly. Let's try that. It might just be that Remedy doesn't understand this. Nope. This is so weird. So this worked okay. And then I rewrote some stuff, as you know, from the past several days. And now it is no longer working. And I feel like I didn't really change anything that should be that important. In fact, I am just outputting this constant in the same order as everything else. I wonder if it's okay, hold on. Let's go to barred particles. So here it's not the first variable either. I was wondering if like it only likes it if you put the variables first. We could try that and just recompile it. I don't think it'll work, but we're just completely grasping at straws right now. Nope. But we're outputting it right there, along with the other things. This library still seems to take the string commands. Yeah, that's completely useless too. Well, it's better, but it's still useless. Yeah, like back when I was trying to use stuff like Eclipse or whatever, the problem was it was running GDB through a pipe, and it would get confused about parsing at some point, and then it would desync from what state it thought it was in, and then nothing would work from there, right? Okay, I honestly have no idea what to do without parsing this file, which I don't want to do. Eclipse is reliable now. Well, they've certainly had a long time to debug it. I'm just eating chocolate instead of programming. If you want to succeed in the game industry, just sit down and instead of programming, eat chocolate. I think that'll work. Isn't that like the Pomodoro method or something? It's like instead of programming, eat a chocolate. Now instead of programming, eat a sun chip. Now instead of programming, eat a marshmallow dream bar, right? I'm doing Pomodoro oriented development. Now I'm out of water. Okay, do I want to debug this or do I want to do something that's higher priority? The reason why, the main reason why I'm leaning toward not debugging this is it already seemed kind of skeezy in the sense that I was getting integer constants like this to work before, but like float constants weren't working and string constants weren't working. So it might have just been something very tweaky that was causing those to work, and it might have like nothing to do with this local code in some way, right? So I kind of want to wait on that. You know, I feel like I should wait on that until I do a push to support constants everywhere. Like that would be much better. Like, you know, I was going to put this in the next beta of like, oh, we support integer constants in code view now, but it's like, I mean, we're going to repeal that claim, and we're not going to worry about it yet. At some point, we're just going to do constants. Okay. Now my problem is I broke string parameters on dwarf at some point in all the things that were being done, which I can demonstrate to you using the fabulous command line GDB. Wait, that's not the right thing. There's so many windows now. Okay, stop with all the windows. Just get rid of some. I don't even totally care which ones. Let's get rid of some windows. All right. So if I like break here, step, so I can print stuff, right? It's all fine. But when I'm in a function that takes a string, it gets it wrong. So I broke that, but local string variables are fine. So like, well, this is a global, but you can see this one is fine. I actually should do a global, actually. Just to make sure. Great. So that works, but the parameter does not work. And I remember in the old way we were doing it, there was some flagging for parameters, and maybe I accidentally deleted the check for that. I honestly don't know. I kind of want to update to several days ago and check. Well, maybe there's still something in here. Something was checking this argument or return flag. I remember that. So all of this is irrelevant. This is not backend stuff. So this code view thing was, but I don't even think, that's not even the thing that it was. All right, I'm just going to go, I'm going to roll us back a little bit. And this is maybe even not the right one to do it. I want to roll us back in Linux maybe, but let's go to I've done a lot of stuff. Okay, that's the last beta. Oh, of course my to-dos were modified. I should have checked it in. We're gonna learn the hard way. Gonna learn the hard way. All right, so maybe we didn't check that flag. Lol. We don't seem to have. All right, so let's just see. This is before I split off the dwarf and code view. Okay, so we were doing in dwarf right function type. This might be still the same. Probably is. I don't think I... dwarf abbrev argument type. And then the thing. Was this just wrong the whole time? I bet it is, because on code view we do this thing where we say reference parameter, like we say it's a pointer. Remember this? We looked at this on the stream the other day. I bet we're just failing to do that. So if I go back to here, actually, let's go to this other foo, right? Are we still breaking in foo? Yes. So it's getting the integer correct. So yeah, the deal is we're just not saying it's a reference parameter. So that's been wrong, I guess, the whole time, and nobody ever told me. That was in right function type. I'm just going to paste this out just so I can see. So I need to figure out what to do here. And I don't want to make a new type every time. I just want to say, hey. But I guess we kind of want to do that. I guess we kind of want to make the hash table thing. What's the other code that references dwarf abbrev argument type look like? Good question. This could be there, right? So ref4 means the type index is 4 bytes, or what does it mean? right? It just means the type is 4 bytes. Yeah. So I need to tell it just the appropriate thing. That's all. It's fine. It's fine. The thing is, okay. I can do the hack here. I can do the low effort hack where I make a pointer to and then yeah, there's just no convenient way to do that the way. So see, dwarf right type info. Oh. Wait, guys, what? I accidentally copy pasted this and called code view right type info. Excuse me? How do we even have that in scope? Okay, that's one of the reasons I split this up. That could be the problem right there. I mean, I still feel like this other thing is wrong, but let's just do this for a second. That's certainly, like, how is it getting that? Oh, this won't have it because it's an old version. All right, we're just going to update this again to the working copy. Wait, this one doesn't say that. What? Did I just have a really, really old... What is going on? Now I can't trust anything. Like, maybe that was a really... You know, I'm starting to theorize that, like, WSL2 served me a stale version of the file that was several days old from when I did this switchover. Even though I've been editing and compiling this file many times in the past couple days. Like, that's the only explanation I have right now. Didn't I just revert? Not this file. These are the WSL files. It's a separate file tree. Like this file doesn't even exist in the version that I reverted to, by the way. So it's not even, there's no question of that. No question. I don't know what to do. Let's at least refresh the file. I just can't trust anything now. I mean, what the fuck? Oh, this is the thing that I just pasted in. Right, I was looking at this and I was like, why is that code view code? But that's because that's what I pasted in as a reference for what I'm doing here. I remember doing that. So, you know, in code view, we basically add a new type. The problem is here, the way we are doing this, it's very, very annoying. But I think I can actually do a hack, and then we can optimize away the hack later if we care. The hack is going to be equivalent to what we're doing in the code view version. It's just it's not that, it's less convenient with the way things are working here. But what we will do is say temporary right pointer to type, right? And that's basically just going to be this. Actually, I should give it all the same arguments. Okay. So what this is going to do is just get the base type. Oh, shoot. But that's this in this case. And then we want to say, okay, we have a pointer. And we just write out a pointer to that. Now we need this C, which is this. Okay, who knows? That's kind of gross, but it's fine. We have ways of making it slightly less bad. Oh, did I confuse myself with the code view right type info paste? That would explain a lot. This is what happens when I am tired from being tired, from not sleeping. That would be the most sane explanation, wouldn't it? Oh. dwarf temporary right pointer to type. It's C++. Oh, that was right there. It's C++. So we get to do this. It's my favorite part of C++ for me to poop on. Okay, what was I even doing before all this? Okay, right. We want to know if this worked. Okay, well, it didn't crash. It also didn't work. This probably spams us, or maybe it doesn't. Oh, I ran the... Okay. I don't even know what's going on, guys. Okay. String reference parameter here. I mean, guess what? It didn't say that for frickin' anything hardly. Because this probably doesn't get called for actual functions? No? Maybe reference parameter doesn't... Don't know. I mean, I assume we will get here way more than 4 times. Okay, so this, where's the function thing though? Dwarf right members. So for actual functions, we just call right compilation unit. So I guess we don't define symbols for those functions, which is probably bad. We should probably call that. Okay, so this is the part that's wrong, not the other part. This is the part that's like, hey guys, okay, Okay. We're going to put this there. Pills here. Pills here. Okay. So we're just going to do this, just like we did over there. And that should spam us. Except it didn't. Not an inch. Oh, because I didn't set his arguments. Forgot that part. If you want to succeed in the games industry, do not forget that part. Hey. No. Break foo. Run. Print S. Okay. That's great. It actually works. Now the only thing we have to do is make it a reference instead of a pointer. Very small difference. Okay. Is there just a reference type? There is. Do we define that? Because I think we have to define it in order to use it. Where's the... Dude, Dwarf is so much like OpenGL, it drives me nuts. Okay. This should look just like pointer type. Pointer type, no children. Okay, great. Great. See, I never read the documentation on what any of this does, really, except for glancing at it. I just prefer to learn these things from osmosis. I think it's stupid. Just define your format. Don't define a format for defining your format for how to define your format. It's a pain in the ass. Just define your format. God. It's not even real because only certain very limited options are acceptable for these. So it's like, okay, no, that's not what we wanted. We wanted that. Hey, look, that's great. Let's continue the other foo. Oh, there's no reference parameters. Okay, anyway, that was all I wanted to do. I think that's been broken forever. How's it going? Any questions, everybody? Off topic is even acceptable right now because we just celebrated by fixing a stupid ass bug. It's not even a bug. It was just like nobody ever did that. But I want to know how many of these we're making because, you know, that function is still the temporary function. So the next step, now that it works, is to cache those types so we don't redo a bazillion of them. The problem is I don't really have the Sokoban game loaded up. Right, like we can't compile it, and that's my like big test for here's a big program. I could count the number of reference parameters in code view on Windows. That's about the, let's do that. Like so this is in. Although I don't actually know code view write members. There we go. Actually, we don't need the is whatever because the flag is on the declaration. Okay. Any new info on Braid Anniversary Edition? No, we're just working on it. What chocolates was I eating? Just some stuff from a chocolate store here. Are there file formats, APIs that are not irritable to use in my experience? Yeah, DirectX 8 and 9 were pretty good. File formats, I like the zip file format's fine. It's totally reasonable and does pretty much what you want and is not insanely complicated for what it does. Wave file format's fine. BMP file format's fine. I don't remember JPEG that well. DXT5's fine. Did I enjoy my time in Nashville? It was all right, but I like other places in Tennessee better. Have I done any talks recently? No. I mean, the last talk that I did was the Games in the Future of Education talk, which was a couple months ago. I got to actually do real work sometimes, folks. Giving talks is not my job. So 3,000 reference parameters times, well, oh, again, it's going to be about 30K because we had the equivalent thing on Windows, right? Let me delete this again. It's basically the same case. So so it's basically an extra 6 bytes times it's 18K. I am not going to worry about it right now, but this is the kind of thing that we should optimize later. Redundant pointer types. Eventually we can cache these in an array and reuse them. For now we just eat the cost, since in the Sokoban game there are about 3,000 reference types, which means we add about 18K worth of extra data to the file, which sounds big, but I actually don't know how big the dwarf data is. We could print it. The code view data is, you know, okay, I actually want to know. I want to know how frickin' big it is. How do you keep track of project issues in a team? I don't know. You trust people to do stuff, and you keep track of the most important problems. Finding, have any suggestions for how Nashville could be improved? Basically, none of the spaces are designed for people to be in a way that's nice. There are no neighborhoods in Nashville that are like that. So it's just not a place that you could walk around and have a nice life, right? You could like drive to a restaurant or something and that's fine. But even walking from your car to the restaurant is going to be a very unpleasant experience because nobody there knows how to design neighborhoods at all. That's it. How come the string was a reference parameter? Just that's our calling convention right now, is that anything bigger than a register size is a const reference parameter by default. Probably. How do those to-do list text files scale to a team? They don't. That's just my personal way of doing things. Everyone on the team has their own personal way of doing things. Nashville isn't very walkable, but it's not just about being walkable in the sense of being able to walk places. It's just having a nice place to live. Like, is it nice when you're in the city? Right? That's a little bit of a different thing than walkable. Like, you could theoretically have a place where most places that you want to go are very far from each other, so it's not walkable in that sense, but where the places are nice to be in individually. That's just not Nashville, though. I think I can do size dash A. We could try it. Oh, except it's in like, well, let's see. Wrong shell. Got obl. So that is approximately right. Has it been 11 minutes since I compiled that? I guess so. That's a much smaller file. Wait, what? So I feel like something must really be wrong with the code view output then. Because it's possible that Dwarf is more compact with all the ulebs and stuff, but it's not that much more compact. So like maybe the code view output is just spazzing in some way. Okay, wait, I'm very confused. I'm very confused. So, oh, never mind. I'm comparing different programs. This is a tiny, tiny program. Duh. Okay. No, right. The whole point was I want to compare the number on the game. That's how tired I am. I forgot. So I'm just going to put this in. Okay. Except wait, that's still not going to, I don't even know what I'm doing. It's not going to tell me anything. What? I don't have anything big to compile on Dwarf. Ever consider Atlanta Metro? I don't know. I mean, I've been to like downtown Atlanta a long time ago, and it honestly was not a nice place, but I don't know if that's changed. But I've also never been to more like the outlying areas, so I don't know if those are better. Okay, well, I'm just going to comment these out for now. Yeah, it's a bummer that I don't have an exactly useful comparison. Okay, so what we're just going to do is we're going to leave this. I'm going to rename this. It's not temporary. Whoops. It's not temporary since it actually works. And we're just going to leave the comment. There's no check-ins. All right. Oh, let's get rid of this. because that's not really going to be faster than this. Actually, does I? Whoops. Yeah, so you have to step into it right now for me to be able to see that. Okay. That's great. Crank it, baby. How much crossover experience is there between designing experience for a technical product and a game? There is a lot of crossover, but it's at a relatively subtle level. It is not at the level of concrete things that you do from day to day. It's at the level of aesthetics and taste. You know, if I do another talk sometime, besides the ones that are in my backlog, I think an important one is about how taste is important, and the very idea of taste is sort of lost on younger generations because they've been the weird untested ethics that have been preached to them sort of are about how taste is bad, and it's not true. It's not true. It's very necessary for some kinds of things. So yeah, application of one's sense of taste is the same. A rich neighborhood is what I want. I wouldn't say that. I want a nice neighborhood. I want a pleasant place where I can be and not feel like I'm being attacked by my environment or like my environment is wearing me down. I want to feel like my environment is giving me energy rather than wearing me down. Can I compile the game for Windows but force it to output dwarf anyway? We probably could do that. I just haven't ever tried, and because I'm tired today, I feel like I would probably screw it up adding options to do that. Does Visual Studio Debugger read dwarf if you give it dwarf? I bet LLDB would, but I don't have it installed on Windows. But to get the numbers, we could just output it. That's true. Nashville suburbs. I mean, I don't know. Like I went to a couple suburban areas and I didn't really like them very much, but I might have, might have not picked the right ones. Chattanooga is really nice. If you live in Nashville and you haven't been to Chattanooga, I recommend just heading over there for a day or two, just for a little trip. It's not that far. You could just go down there in the morning and come back at night. There are some nice Austin suburbs. Yeah, it's just the rest of Austin. I don't like. I lived in Austin a long time ago. I kind of just don't want to do it again. Like Texas just has a little bit of the wrong tempo for me in a certain way. Any interest in smaller places like less than 100K? Yeah, potentially. You're also looking to move, and that automatically means another country. Do you live in the Vatican? Where do you live? Texas is too flat and doesn't have enough trees. Yeah, and the weather is not good. And again, like, nobody knows how to build a space in Texas. Like, Austin was a reasonably okay city, and then they've just let that start to decay in the same way as San Francisco. Like, Austin, back when I lived there, was way nicer than it is now in terms of just a place to be without crazy methed out dudes attacking you. Are many of the employees moving with the company? Nobody is moving with the company right now because we don't know where it's moving. But it's likely we would keep an office in California for people who live there. It's just we wouldn't be based in California. You might like Charleston. Maybe. I was going to go to North Carolina tomorrow. Like, I'm basically next to North Carolina right now. Have I talked about Colorado? I went to Denver and Colorado Springs a while back, and there are some parts of Denver that are nice, but the problem is Denver feels like it's going downhill overall. And I don't want to go to a place that's on the down part of the slope. I went to Colorado Springs. It wasn't really for me. But there are probably lots of other places in Colorado that could be nice that I didn't try that trip. Yeah, I kind of want to go to Omaha or somewhere else in Nebraska. Like, there's just a bunch of places I want to go to. So I'm just not taking things that seriously. And I'm just kind of like doing Johnny Appleseed, but instead of planting apple seeds, I'm just going places. If from Lincoln, Nebraska, wouldn't recommend it. Okay, well, that means you endorse slavery. So I might want to go to bed soon, but we've had a successful stream already. What I want to think about now, and maybe do a little bit of and maybe not, is global variables in this language have more of a structure to them than in C++ by a little bit, but not by too much. It's like every file has a file scope and then a global scope, but then every module has a separate scope, right? And so until now, the debugging information has not reflected this correctly. And what I would like to do is fix that. The thing is, I don't really know how to do global scope structure in any of these debug formats. So maybe I want to start by looking at least one. It's going to be just very hard to find anything, though. I can afford to be a digital nomad in the US. Yeah, but the problem with being a digital nomad is it's fun, and then you die of loneliness. But it's fun for now. Canada's out of the question, all right? Canada is not a place that I will live. What about global variables? So right now, okay, it used to be when we outputted global variables to these formats, we were just being very sloppy and like, we somehow just had a flat array of every variable that was global from the front end of the compiler, and we would just output all those symbols. including, you know, names that are the same name but in scopes that shadow each other and something, right? And there was no notion of, you know, based on where you are, what is that embedded in, right? And so in actuality, right, if you're in a procedure at a given time, then you have a file scope, right? And then you have a scope above that, which might be the application scope or might be the root scope for a module. And then above that is a scope for the preload and runtime support, right? And so I want to set those scopes up now. And the problem is, of course, I have to do it 3 times in 3 formats that I don't know anything about any of. Now, I guess LLVM would be the most important one to do because well, that's the one that we use in production and the default backend. So maybe I should do that first. It's just I hate that one the most. So I don't know. Does anyone know anything about any of these 3 formats and how you would set up a hierarchical set of global scopes like data scopes? In LLVM, it's generic enough that you would probably do it the same way you do procedure scopes, probably. I would just like make them. And just set up the parenting relationship. I don't know. It's just, you see how to do it somewhat in Dwarf. Let's take a look at LLVM, even though I hate it. I hate it, but let's take a look. So I made this LLVM write globals, and it just takes one scope and we do the thing. And what that does is it just plugs into some hack that was already here where we add this to this thing called ast lists, right? And I think ast lists is num modules like, yeah, that doesn't mean language modules. That means, so this thing then does some stuff. Okay. So for everything in the ast list, we do all this stuff. But what I could do here see, I would have to spend a certain amount of time crawling through a sewer to figure this out. Like, okay, so we create a global variable expression, and I guess the debug file is how it knows where it is. But is that also a scope relationship? That's my favorite documentation, quote, documentation, unquote. Context. Okay, it is a scope. So I could make scopes above this scope, and so forth. I guess. Chris Latner was on the Lex podcast. Yeah, did they talk about anything good? Lex is doing podcasts at a high rate of speed. Okay, so my theory is, well, but then there's this file thing, but that's probably just for loading the file. This is probably the part that's important. So what I should do as a test, I bet this get debug file is way slower than it should be. We could look at that. So, like we were seeing in a couple days ago, a declaration is going to have a load info, which tells you what module it's in. That module, or that load info, also will have a file scope and and then an application scope. It was a bit of bike shedding, yeah. The int is not baked into Swift. Yeah, but that's a very masturbatory thing to do in your programming language. Like, there's a large cost for not baking in something like int. It sounds cool when you're in college, but it's actually bad. Yeah, so I listened to the Scott Aronson episode. Okay. So I just want to see what this get debug file is. Wait, did I commit? I don't think I did. Because I was going to, and then I ran. Why was I back versions? I guess those are just edits I did. All right. Oh, yeah. I don't care anymore. I'm tired. All right. Nice content. I wonder if that would work as a pickup line. Annoying programming, get chocolate. I am out of chocolate because I've eaten it all. I do have fruit though. I'm going to eat a little bit more fruit. See, this is the freedom that you have. Running your own company sucks and is annoying a lot of the time, but you can type this for a commit message. and you're not going to get fired. It's great. Do I think the 90% cocoa dark chocolate is worth it? No, it's gross. I like 47 to 57. Even 72 is, I think, a little too dark. Thoughts on white chocolate? I like it sometimes. I don't have it nearly as much as I have chocolate. But I could do white. I respect white chocolate. The people who tell you white chocolate isn't good are being chocolate snobs the way wine people are wine snobs. It's all signaling. And they don't have any actual legit reason to say that. Is white chocolate even chocolate? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So much fruit. Okay. See, like, this is kind of ass already. In fact, this is super ass. Because every time we want to get a file for any declaration, we're like asking LLVM to, at minimum, do a hash lookup, but who knows what the hell all this is, right? We don't know what all that does. Anytime you go from a string to a value, it's like, right? Whereas, all these load infos are ordered, and we could even store the index of the load info on there, and then we could make a parallel array that just has DI files, right? And then we could create those DI files at startup, and then we wouldn't have to dynamically query them all the time. You know what I mean? How do I recommend someone does generics in a C++ program? As little as possible. Do not use them if you can help it. They're bad. But I do use them in a small number. I use them in a small number of cases that have large impact. So for example, my standard, expanding array type that I use all the time is, uses templates for type safety. And hash table does that as well. But that's about it. Like, Seriously, I almost never use templates in C++. So, do I want to do this right now? And the answer is not super much. I feel like I've had a good day, and I don't want to ruin my day. So, by doing LLVM stuff. So we'll do this a little bit tomorrow, I guess. Unless I also can't sleep. So the deal behind the thread title is, after signing off yesterday, because remember, I was programming and then I got kind of tired, right? So I did a little bit of stuff, just email and whatever, and then I went to go to bed and I couldn't sleep and I kept trying to sleep. And then after 2 hours of that, which never happens to me, after 2 hours of that, I was like, all right, I feel awake enough. I'm just going to work. So I worked until, I don't know exactly what time it was, but it was probably at least 5:30 a.m. And then went to sleep. So I got probably maybe as much as 5.5 hours of sleep at really screwed up times. So I want to make up for that tonight. We'll see what happens. Has working on the compiler's debug symbols given any insight into building a good debugger? No. No, because a good debugger, like a really good debugger, would work differently. Like all of the debuggers that we're using today are at most 1985 technology. Like debuggers have not moved past 1985. So you want to design a year 2025 debugger. It wouldn't probably even use these debug formats that we're using. Do I ever procrastinate? A little bit, but honestly, no. Like when you have enough to do, you can procrastinate by doing something else. And it works out. Does any debugger record steps and let you move back and forward in time? Yeah, there's this like, you know, time reversal debugger thing that people are doing, but it's pretty basic. It's like doesn't do anything cool. What is some of the low-hanging fruit that debuggers aren't taking advantage of? I don't know. I'm not talking about low-hanging fruit. I am saying a really good debugger would be very, very different from anything you know about today. I'm not talking about incremental. I'm talking about starting from scratch. If I was like, how do I understand what the hell my programs are doing? It would just be different. I can't even tell you what it would be like because I haven't done that work. Cannot even tell you. Anyway, so I think this is going to be the thing that I do next. Probably not on stream. But yeah, I would make an array of ting-tanglers. I would have load info just have an extra slot on it for, because I'm going to want to do the same thing in all the backends, but in different ways, probably. But so the load info will have an index on it, and then that index can be used to to dereference whatever custom array any particular backend wants. And yeah, that can happen actually as one of the first steps in debugging is, the front end can actually set the indices and then call you and say, here's all the load directives. Do whatever you need to do to set up your scope structure, right? And then, this bit of LLVM would just do its thing. It would say, okay, I'm going to make all these scopes and I'm going to put them in an array. And then this get debug file would be kind of trivial at that point. This all sounds good to me. This sounds like a plan. Can you mark individual variables file global without surrounding them in file scope, global scope? No, you can't right now, and that is kind of annoying. It's just, it hasn't really been something that I want to spend a lot of time making syntactically nicer, just because I don't exactly know if this is the way scopes are going to work in the end. This was just like my idea for how scopes should work as a guess, and it seems fine. But it's not even something that I have a super strong opinion about, and so we might change it in some way. That's all. You just saw how Go does it? Do you mean the scope thing? Do you mean in Go's semantics, or do you mean in terms of writing debugging info? DI file seems trivial enough for intern to do. Well, no intern ever did it, so I have to do it. Capitalize to export variable, lowercase to keep it internal. I can't say that I like that. I mean, I guess there's a certain niceness to that, because then at least, seeing a name of something, the scope of it. If you may be using it from another file or whatever. But like, that's got to be hell for copying and pasting code. Like, I want to refactor stuff back and forth between files all the time, right? And like, now I have to rename a bunch of variables just because I want to access them from two files. That kind of sucks. Love to be able to hear my ideas on how to tackle it better. I don't have ideas. I'm telling you, I don't have ideas. I'm saying, well, I have very, very unverbalizable, vague ideas of where to start, right? I'm just saying, if I sat down to actually do this, it wouldn't end up looking like anything that because I would start. It's just like making a game, or just like making this language. Like the pivotal ideas behind this language are not the ones that I talked about in the first couple speeches. Because when I started actually doing the work, I found things that were better than what I was originally thinking, and I went that way, right? So That's what I'm saying for debugger, and I haven't done that. So I don't actually have the valuable ideas because you have to find the valuable ideas. Casey had a video about his mustache debug thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of thing is a useful component, just like understanding a bunch of data structures and or giving you a versatile way to, as a user, set up how to visualize things. Like, that's fine, but it's also not what I'm thinking of. Like, I want to know, how do you actually see a program and how it behaves? The actual program, not the data necessarily, but the program. And there's all these shitty visualizations on the web where people, like, you know, use a JavaScript code visualization library to just like draw this line cloud, right? But that doesn't actually give you useful information. You want good, useful information. And that's a research project. It's a significant research project. And if nobody else does it, I will do it eventually, or I might get hit by a bus first. We will see. Don't we sort of have a built-in debugger? No. Could pursuing ideas be the same way to find that? I have no idea what that question is asking. No idea what you're asking. Okay, so here's the thing that sort of deals with these backends. Actually, before emit code, who calls? Oh, is it obj? We have a little bit of a back and forth. Dude, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, this kind of thing. So this gets called from compile. That's what I was looking for. Who calls that? I could just give arguments to compile. Pump. Like, that would be fine. Let's call it serial load index. All right. I'm just doing part of this. I'm tired, but I wanted to just kick it off a little bit. Is that used? Like maybe we don't actually want that anymore. Maybe we don't want this once. Once we do all the stuff with load index. All right, so that's going to be -1 as well. These are probably vaguely serving the same purpose, but we're just going to do the new thing and ignore the old thing. All right, and then loads, and right, and then LLVM, we're going to do the same thing. Hope I didn't typo that. All right, so now at least we have the setup and marshalling done by the exterior code. It assigns an index to each of these. It copies the data for, you know, slightly weird purposes and then passes it. Cannot convert argument 1 from array to const. What the fuck? Dude, I don't understand C++ sometimes. Why can't I const that? I don't know. They did this thing where they changed the meaning of const reference a while back, and I used to know, and now I don't. Does Brett Victor have any debugging ideas? I mean, he definitely has the right idea in the sense that he doesn't accept the current paradigm of how to debug as being the end, but I think the particular things that he has, you know, shown as examples, don't scale to non-toy programs, right? And so the question is, what scales? No star. Wait, what? Did I screw? Oh, whoops. That's okay. Remember when I said I hope I didn't typo? That would count. It's not exactly a typo. It's just me being a goofball. Thank you. All right, so that should hopefully compile, and I'll just leave it there. And, you know, tomorrow when I'm freshly awake, I can figure out what to do in each of the API. Well, maybe all of them won't happen in one day, but the LLVM one seems not hard. Famous last words. It seems not hard. I might even speed up the LLVM backend a little bit, depending on how much time we spend getting DI files. Well, let's look for somebody to raid. It's only a mere 8 p.m. California time. Let's Let's find out what's going on twitch.tv. We are not going to raid AOC. That is not. I am software engineer. Very pixely game. Very pumpkin-y game. What do we think? And then we're down in the sad part. Down in the sad part. How about the Cherno? We have 2 requests. But he's got like a bunch of viewers already. We could do that though. You know, Lana rated us when we had a bunch of viewers. So we will do this. She raids us a lot when we have a lot of viewers. All right, thanks everybody. And tomorrow may not be a good stream day. I don't know. I'm moving cities tomorrow, so we'll just see how it works out. Thanks.